A lot of power is thinking ahead, 2 or 3 moves ahead. Talking less creates an aura of power. It makes you look larger than you actually are. If you can't control your own mouth, if you can't control that, then what can you control? You can't control your emotions. You can't control your behavior. It signals weakness and insecurity. You're never being who you are. You're always acting to some degree. You want to gain a sense of discipline, self-discipline. It's no good if people tell you to do things, if people tell you to work, if they force you to do this, A, B, and C. It has to come from within. You have to have initiative. You have to be motivated to do things. To me, the key to life, the key to everything, the key to success is figuring out what you love. The game of power is subtle. Human beings are subtle. They're complex, okay? So sometimes, even when you're the head of a group, there are going to be moments where you want to keep people off balance. You don't want the members of your team to know exactly what you're up, exactly what you're thinking, exactly where you're going, because then they're just going to be, they're not going to be using their own initiative. They're not going to be imaginative. I talk in the War book about Napoleon Bonaparte being kind of the master of what in warfare they call man management, motivation. And he would mix punishment and kindness. So most of the time he was kind to his soldiers, right? But occasionally he would be very mean and cruel, and he would pick on people randomly to keep them on their heels so they didn't feel, wow, I can just do whatever I want because Napoleon likes me and he's on my side, etc. There's another law in there about using unpredictability to keep people in suspended terror. So they don't know exactly what you want, so they have to try harder. You have to try harder to please you because they're not quite sure whether you like them or not, whether you find their work sufficient or not. But where you really want to conceal your intentions is with your rivals, with your opponents, with your enemies. So in warfare, it's very obvious. It's very obvious in politics, but it's also very clear in business. If everybody of all the companies that are your rivals, if they know exactly where you're headed, they're going to try and take over what you're doing. They're going to mimic you. They're going to mirror you. They know exactly where you're headed. You're too predictable. So really, where you really want to conceal your intentions is for those people who are not on your side, right? There's no purpose for other people knowing who are not on your team for knowing what you're intending to do a year from now, a month from now, a week from now. There's no good in that, right? So maybe your customers, your clients have a good sense of the brand, but you want to keep your enemies, your rivals completely on their heels, completely on the defense. You're on the offense. A lot of power is thinking ahead, 2 or 3 moves ahead. And in the concealing intentions law, I talk about Otto Bismarck, the German chancellor, who was a master. He was playing that kind of game, that kind of chess on the political chessboard of Europe at the time. He was thinking several moves in advance. And in order to think several moves in advance, you know what your intentions are. You know where you're going to go in 6 months, right? And so you have to have a vision of where you're headed, but you have to keep everybody else in the dark so that they can't predict what's happening next. So part of concealing intentions, part of business, part of power is the ability to think strategically, to think in advance, to think several moves in advance. And that means having intentions, having moves that you've planned out, but you want to keep other people on their heels. They don't know where you're going to go next. When you make other people think about what's going on in your head, you're the one in control of the situation. Whereas if they know everything that you're thinking, everything that you're doing, then they have power. They have power over you. So power is about appearances. And there's weakness, things that show weakness. And in my book, The Loss of Human Nature, I talk about the weak body language, the weak signs that people can kind of feed off of you. They smell it. Then there are powerful things. And you want to create this aura of power, even though inside you might not feel so powerful or feel so comfortable or secure. But outwardly, you want to show this appearance that makes people think, wow, this guy, he's authority. I respect him. Talking less creates an aura of power. It makes you look larger than you actually are. It makes you make people think he's mysterious, he or she's mysterious. When you talk a lot, I don't know if you've noticed this, but people who talk a lot, there's something insecure about them. If you can't control your own mouth, if you can't control that, then what can you control? You can't control your emotions. You can't control your behavior. It signals weakness and insecurity. Whereas talking less, you're not going to say something stupid. And then when you do speak, it's going to carry a lot of weight. So it seems like an unimportant law. Oh, always talk less than speak less than necessary. But it's actually extremely important to understand the psychology of what gives the appearance, the aura of power, and what doesn't. Down to the baseline of every human being, we're all actors. Some are good actors, some act more, some are bad actors. But I always tell people, if you look at children, 3 or 4 years old, or you remember your own childhood, you were constantly pretending, you were constantly acting to your parents. You would act like an angel to get something that you wanted. You'd act all sweet and innocent because you wanted some candy, you wanted some gain. Being an actor is part of human nature. It's deeply, deeply ingrained in all of us because we're a social animal. If you went around just speaking everything that you thought, you would offend everyone around you, right? If you told somebody that their clothes are ugly, that they look fat, that their ideas are stupid, they're going to hate you. You're not going to get very far in life. So you learn at an early age to control what you say, to control who you are, to control what you do. Think about your life, Mark. When you are interacting with Michael Jordan, you have a certain way of behaving around him, right? You're probably a little bit intimidated. You probably don't speak as much. But when you're around one of your other employees who just joined, you're completely different. You're acting. You're not the same person in front of Michael Jordan as you are in front of your 21-year-old new employee. That is acting. That's how we all are. We're different in front of our father than we are with our friends, right? So get over this notion that we can all just hang out and just be who we are. You're never being who you are. You're always acting to some degree. Let me explain to you the idea a little bit behind formlessness first, okay? So a lot of that comes from Sun Tzu, very obviously. It's an Asian idea about being kind of water and being fluid in life. But it's also an idea that, for me, came very much from Machiavelli. And I've noticed this with a lot of business leaders. I noticed it when I was on the board of directors of American Apparel and with the CEO, Dov Charney. And what Machiavelli talks about is people rise to power. They become a CEO, they become a leader, they become a president or whatever, based on certain qualities that they have, a strength. It could be aggression. It could be being a people pleaser, being just very empathetic. It could be having a populist touch. It could be good with words, an orator. That's their strength. They use that and they get a lot of power because they're good at it. They don't have to think about it. It's almost natural to them. They get to a position of power, and now the times are changing because things are always changing, particularly nowadays, where things change month by month, right? Trends are changing. Young people are coming up. Tastes are changing. The world is changing. Your rivals are changing. The business world is changing. And you're still holding on to that one quality that brought you to the top. You're still thinking that my aggression, or that my being popular and pleasing everybody, or my speaking well, and you keep holding on to that, and the world has passed you by, and you're weak. And Machiavelli said, if I could create the monster, the Frankenstein of a leader in business or politics, whatever, it would be somebody who could change with the times, who they rose to power based on a strength. They see that it's not quite the right quality, and they adapt, and they move with the times. He compared it to a river, right? And you're kind of moving like the water. You're flowing with this river, and that's power. But being rigid and having a form and having a strategy that you always rely on and having a personality that you always exude to the world and perform as is weak because you can't adapt. I mean, think of your own business your own business, your business in the last 3 years, can you begin to imagine all the incredible shifts that have occurred in just that time? To change yourself, to become fluid, to be something different, means you have to let go of the past. You have to let go of your ego. So that's a very important quality. So the first and the most important step is mastering yourself before anything else. But the problem in mastering yourself is a lot of it has to do with gaining discipline. If you just go out in the world without any sense of what other people are like, of what their needs are, you're just going to say stupid things, you're going to offend people. So you have to understand the social game and how to master your appearance and how to make people like you in some way, right? But the other thing is you want to gain a sense of discipline. Self-discipline. It's no good if people tell you to do things, if people tell you to work, if they force you to do this, A, B, and C. It has to come from within. You have to have initiative. You have to be motivated to do things. And what I've learned over the course of writing my 7 books and through the course of my whole life is that you master yourself through learning something that you love, that interests you. That's how you develop discipline. So if you're studying things, if you're entering a career that doesn't suit you, that you don't really love, that isn't really your dream, then it's going to be very hard for you to master yourself. It's going to be very hard to gain that discipline. You're going to be tuning out. You're going to be distracted. You're going to be on your phone too much. You're not going to be focusing deeply, which is how you master yourself. To me, the key to life, the key to everything, the key to success is figuring out what you love. You got to first figure out, I call it your life's task, what you were born to create in this world. Everybody is born as an individual. There's something very unique about you. And I mean every single person out there. I don't just mean people who have special talents. Everybody has this power within them. Everybody is unique in some way in their DNA, how they were raised, in their early encounters in life. And the trick in life is bringing out your uniqueness, bringing out what makes you weird, what makes you strange, what makes you different, and leaning into that and creating a business, writing a book, going into some field that reflects that uniqueness. If you discover what that is, when you're in your early 20s, more or less, then you're going to learn at a much faster rate than if parents tell you to go to law school and you go to law school, but it doesn't really connect with you and you're tuning it out and you're not really learning. But if you find something that you love, you're going to learn at a very fast rate. And as you learn, as you develop skills, as things improve in your brain, you're going to be gaining discipline. You're going to be mastering yourself. Because I believe that you master yourself in what you actually make and what you create. I only became who I am through writing my books. It's writing my books that changed me. It has made me a different person. Your work is going to make you a different person if it's something that you love, if it's something that excites you. So the key to everything in life is making that choice early on in your early 20s about what you were destined to create, what really suits you, what fits, what meshes with your uniqueness. Once you discover that, the whole game kind of opens up to you and everything will start to make sense. Now, of course, the main question is that people ask me is, how do I find that? I think a lot of young people today are sometimes afraid to be different, but truly being unique in your work, in your ideas, in your thinking, in what you love is something that a lot of people are afraid of. And if you look at anybody who's successful in music, for instance, they're all unique. There's nobody else like them. These are people that understood their uniqueness. They weren't afraid of it. They embraced it and they used it. Okay, so that's extremely important. So the question is that I get asked a lot is, Robert, I don't know what my life's task is. I like A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm like at a supermarket and I can just choose all these different goodies and candies and things, but I can't figure out what's the one thing that I'm really made to create in this world. And the problem is, because this goes back to mastering yourself first, is you're impatient. People today, everybody who's young, I was like this when I was young, you're impatient. You want things right now. You want an answer. You want Robert Greene to tell you, this is what you were meant to do. This is how you find your life's task, A, B, C. I give you these clues and you're just going to find it like on an Easter egg hunt or something. It doesn't work like that. You have to be patient in this world. Figuring out who I am, figuring out what I love, figuring out what I was meant to do, it's going to take months. It could take years. You have to be patient. You have to be open and willing. It's an adventure. It's a journey that you're on. So I say, all right, let's just first start on that thing that I'm not going to give you an answer right away. You have to be patient. And then it's a matter of going into yourself and being introspective, which is an incredibly important skill to have in life, to be able to withdraw from the group, withdraw from your phone, withdraw from your friends, be alone, listen to yourself and write things down in a journal and go, these are my thoughts. These are what I like. This is what I love. This is what I hate. When I was 5 years old, I really, really loved this activity, this endeavor. And then I kind of lost track of that and I forgot about it. You're going to be going deeply, deeply, deeply into yourself, not listening to what all your friends are saying, not listening to what people on Instagram are saying, just yourself, your voice. You have a voice inside your head that speaks to you about what you love, but you're hearing all these other voices from other people. Get rid of all those voices and listen to yourself. And when you go through that, something will happen, a click will happen. You'll go, I actually am really attracted to science. I was forced to go in this other direction, but I'm really interested in it. I have a kind of a logical brain. This is what I was meant to do. It could be anything. I don't know what it is.